You changed. You stopped being you.
What's the deal, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Cultivated Minds, and today we're going to be talking about signs you are awakening. Actually, I had somebody hit me up and they said, they liked my content, and they was wondering if I could do a video on, how was it, when you start to see life for what it really is. And in my opinion, that's basically, signs that you are awakening. And I know you guys ain't used to this scenery right here. I know I'm usually outside nature and give you guys a whole different view. It's a lot better, but I was running short on time. I want to make a video for you guys this week, and so just work with me. Check it out. One of the first indicators I'll say, as far as signs you're awakening is you start challenging your beliefs. All the things that you was taught, from a baby till now, we all brainwashed to some extent, depending on what kind of family you grew up in, who you're around, things you believe in, stuff like that. You start getting older and you realize that a lot of these things I took with me, from a kid till now, did a lot of these things help, or did they hold me back? And just even personally in my life, I realized there's a lot of things that, I might have seen somebody do, or, I was raised up a certain way or seen a certain way, and realizing I took a lot of things that might not have been good for me. It could have been hindering my growth, as a person, seeing things for what it is. But that's one of the biggest things, just challenging a lot of the things that, we're taught, to believe or to see things a certain way or see them as. Another thing I want to say, you start to question, who am I? What is my true purpose? When you're young, you just might be like, you finna be a basketball player, so you finna be this, you finna be that. That's just what it is. That's your person, nothing outside that. But then you start to really question, who am I truly? What do I stand for? What are my values? What is my purpose, in this world? You start to really get deep and dig deeper. You start, trying to research different things, where you come from. You start actually caring about things like that. Those are questions I probably would have never actually thought of, when I was younger, just growing up. But then you start to actually really want to dig deep, going within, be losing my train of thought sometimes, y'all. So you gotta bear with me. That's why I be having my little notes out, so y'all see me looking here and there. You start to see, what is your true stance on the situation, aka basically how do I feel about a situation, not everyone else. You might have always been, maybe asking your dad or your mom, your cousin, uncle, whoever it is, that you might have confided in, you asking them things and how they see it, and they gonna tell you how it should be and how you are and stuff. But then you start realizing that's how they see it, that's their perspective. You respect it, but then you start realizing, how do you see it? You start asking yourself, what is my true emotional or mental stance on the situation, instead of, going to somebody else and their obligations, how they supposed to see it. Because, we all got our own little realm of reality. A lot of times we see things, and it's just the more the merrier when somebody else can see it just like you. You start to really, question, friendships and family. You start to, what is your relationship consist of? Who's really gonna keep it 100 with you? Do you got people around you that's, honest? Are they trustworthy? Do they have integrity? Do they got your back? Are they gonna actually be, 100% real with you? Even if it's something you don't like, or they just, just your genuinely true friends, genuine people having a genuine connection with. Because I realize all the times, I might have had friends and stuff, but did we hang out because we was in the same social circle? We always maybe gossiping or talking shit about somebody. Are we both people that know how to dress, things like that. Just a lot of surface level things, and you have to really dig deep and question, what is this relationship or this friendship actually consists of? Or even with family members, it's the same concept. It's a hard pill for some people to swallow, but it's saying you start to really question, who's really 100% real with me? What does our relationship truly consist of? You start truly going within, listening to how you feel, how you feel. You know, you actually you know, you're not more so just listening to your mind, you actually listen to your soul. Like, you know, I'm talking about really being in a quiet space, you know, nobody around, nobody can tell you, nobody can judge you, whatever. You coming up with, how do you truly feel about, you know, a situation or something like that. You start to really say, like, you know, what's best for me, you know? You put yourself first before, you know, others. You know, you might have used to always put other people before you, but then you got to start realizing, you know, how do I feel? You know, I got to make sure I'm good first. You start paying attention to your mental health a lot more. I mean, at least I'll say I did from my own experience. You know, you start really realizing, you know, when I was younger, I could have been like, you know, that's some BS. You know, I ain't even worried about something like that. But then you start really realizing that, you know, that's something that's truly important. You know, it don't matter how much money you're making. It don't matter what kind of job you're around. No matter what party or family event, whatever happened, you always making sure, you know, you mentally, your mental health is, you know, up here before you do anything. You want to make sure that you straight, and that's usually how you know, you grow and develop, because you start actually paying a lot more attention to that, because that's something that's very important, you know. And you know, the things that you put in your body too, those are things that you start really actually coming to a realization of, you know, your health and your mental health, you know. Those are just things that you start really realizing is really important. As you're younger, you don't have to worry about it as much, but as you get older, it's just something that you really start paying a lot more attention to. Just my experience again too, you know, I started, you know, to speak a lot less. You know, you start to listen a lot more. You listen and observe a lot more before you have a conclusion on things. You know, you have a lot more perspectives, different perspectives on things, you know, where you can see things for more than one way. You know, I could have been, you know, growing up being younger, I was a lot more probably extreme about certain situations, or, you know, I fixated on beliefs or things that I had about certain things, instead of, like I said, challenging that belief, you know, questioning outside of what I feel is right, or, you know, instead of, you know, actually being like, you know, what if things that I think could actually be wrong, you know. And that's how I feel like I started growing and getting more wisdom, you know, throughout life. Not saying that, you know, I have it all or anything right now, but just, you know, having that different perspective, being able to see things a lot differently than I would see before. You know, I realized I got a little more introvert. I just would more so observe and, you know, listen, be able to take in you know, different things, different perspectives, different ways of life. You start wanting to, you know, make a difference, you know, as far as, you know, for the collective of humanity. You know, you want to add value, and you try to figure out, you know, it kind of goes back to that question, you know, who am I, what is my purpose? You start really trying to figure out, what can I do to add value to, you know, bring a positive effect to the human consciousness, or just, you know, the world in general. How can I be like, you know, another chess move to where I know I made a difference, things like that. You start seeing, you know, a lot of things, you know, in the matrix, you know, aka this world. You don't really care for much anymore. You know, you're not really in that realm of reality much anymore. Like, you know, as far as maybe it could be like the competition, you know, the whole feeling like you always got to drop something on the internet, trying to prove your point or prove to people that you're doing this now. You know, it starts really, you know, really you versus you. You kind of, how do you feel about the situation? You know, you start maybe listening to more positive type things a lot more. You start really realizing that, like, all that shit really don't matter. You know, you don't really care about having to prove anything to other people. When somebody could probably say that, but then you'll still see deep down they always trying to prove something. That's their driving force a lot of times. Like, you realize it only matters that, you know, when you proving what you proving to yourself. And, you know, the last thing I say, you start to question everything you've ever believed in or were taught. You know, you start to feel like, you know, fuck society's plan. Start feeling like I'm gonna do what I feel like is right for me. And that's probably one of the hardest things, because, you know, there can be people who say things like they don't care about what this person thinks, they don't care about that, yada yada yada, but then, like, you know, they might have a sibling or a family member or a friend or whatever the case is, and I feel like they start to a lot of times their validation comes from that. You know, maybe it's their mother, maybe it's their father, maybe it's their uncle, their brother, cousin, etc. You know, and they start really, you know, they always go into this person. You know, they always listening to what they stances on the situation. You know, how can they grow you know, based on this, based on that. But then at the end of the day, I think it really comes down to, you know, people always gonna have these infomercials. They're always gonna have the right way to do something. But if you steady always listening to what somebody else's way of doing it is, then that kind of takes away from our own unique qualities and how somebody else did it. I really don't care how, you know, this famous person did it. I don't care how this other YouTuber did it. I don't really care how this person run their business. It comes down to what do you feel like is right for you. And, you know, once you feel that, that's when I think you just kind of like, you know, those are signs that you're awakening. Like you're no longer in that realm of reality. Like you could truly care less on how somebody else is doing something. You got your own stance. How you gonna do it this way. You gonna be the first person to do it this way. You know, you gonna rebel against that, and you gonna stand on what you say, and it's gonna work your way. And you know, and you gonna prove that to yourself. But those are all the signs I got you guys for, you know, signs you're waking. I'm sure there's a grip that I missed out on. I'm speaking from my own experience. Go ahead and build with me in the comments. You know, let me know. I know y'all got a whole bunch of different stories on signs that y'all awakening, but those are the ones I want to give to you guys today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. This Cultivated Minds, and I'm signing out.